All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're cracking open a really fascinating window into the world of Western occultism, right around the turn of the 20th century. Now, this isn't about spooky stuff or just random superstition. It's about a system, a really disciplined search for, the hidden laws of the universe. So let's get into it. Okay, boom. Right out of the gate, we get this. This is the core principle, the 4 rules that every single aspiring occultist lived by. It's like their code of conduct. To know the theory, to have the will to actually do something with it, to dare to put it into practice, and, this is a big one, to keep silent about the whole thing. This code frames everything else they do. So, before we even touch on things like astrology or divination, we've got to get inside the head of the person doing it, right? We need to understand the occultist mindset. Who were they and what made them tick? And this is a really, really important distinction they made back then. You've got the occultist on one hand and the medium on the other. Think of the occultist as an active researcher, like a scientist of the unseen. They're trying to figure out the rules and actually control these hidden forces. But the medium? Totally different. They were seen as passive, like a radio receiver just picking up whatever signals came through. It's the difference between being the pilot and just being a passenger. Okay, so now that we know who we're dealing with, let's look at how they saw the world. And this is the key. The entire universe to them wasn't just a bunch of random chaos. No way. It was this intricate, almost divine machine. Everything was connected by these hidden laws of, well, you could call it sympathy or correspondence. It means nothing is an accident, everything has a purpose. So what does that actually look like? Well, take colors. To the occultist, nothing was random. Every planet had its own color, its own vibration. Mars, right? The planet of war and action? Well, of course, its colors are scarlet and crimson. Makes sense. The sun, giving life and energy, is orange and gold. It's like a secret language, a cosmic color code hidden in plain sight. And it didn't stop with colors. The system went even deeper. They had numbers, too. Every single planet, every celestial body had its own number. It's another layer on this amazing cosmic blueprint. See, the universe wasn't just beautiful and poetic, it was mathematical. It was a system you could actually try to calculate. So, okay, that's all great for the planets, but how does this relate to us, to you and me? Well, that's where the astrological houses come in. Basically, they divided the sky into 12 slices, and each slice governed a different part of your life. So you've got the 7th house for marriage, the 2nd for money, the 8th for death. Your birth chart was basically a snapshot of this cosmic map at the exact second you were born. It was your personal key to the whole system. So, if the universe is this giant book, written in a secret code of symbols, colors, and numbers, how in the world do you learn to read it? Well, that brings us to the tools of the trade, the practical methods they use for divination. Let's start with a big one, the tarot. Now, according to the lore, this wasn't just some deck of cards you used for fortune-telling at a fair. Oh no. The story goes that it was a profound book of wisdom, with all these universal truths supposedly engraved on golden plates by the mythical Hermes the Thrice Great. So, right from the start, it's positioned as something incredibly deep and powerful. But here's the funny thing. For all that mythic, profound origin story, the day-to-day use could be incredibly straightforward, almost blunt. Even a regular deck of playing cards got roped in with some really stark meanings. You pull the 9 of spades, that's disappointment, delay, death. Wow. Not a lot of room for interpretation there, right? Or the Ace of Hearts, the house, good fortune. It was a tool to get answers and get them fast. All right, next up is something called geomancy. Sounds super complicated, right? Divination by earth. But the actual process? It's surprisingly simple, almost mechanical. You're just making random lines of dots, counting them up, is it odd, is it even, and then turning that into a simple symbol. The whole idea was to get your own brain, your conscious thoughts, out of the way, and just let a pattern from the universe emerge. And the meaning you'd get from that simple dot-making process? Whoa. Just like the cards, they were powerful and incredibly direct. If you generated the figure Fortuna Major, great, that means success. But if you got Corda, which means the dragon's tail, well, the interpretation was a short and miserable life. Yikes, no pulling punches. And then, of course, there's one you've probably heard of, palmistry. The basic idea here is that the blueprint for your whole life, your character, your destiny, everything, is literally written in the palm of your hand. Every line, the line of life, the line of head, the line of heart, they're all chapters in your story, just waiting for someone who knows the language to read them.
Okay, so this begs a huge question, right? Why do all this? Why learn the correspondences, read the cards, study the stars? What's the end game? Well, that brings us to the absolute peak of the occultists' journey, what they called the Great Work.
And the heart of the great work was alchemy. Now, when we hear alchemy, we think of turning lead into gold, right? And yeah, that was part of it, the physical goal of creating the philosopher's stone or the elixir of life. But that was really just a metaphor. The real alchemy, the much more important work, was the alchemy of the soul. It was about taking your own base, imperfect self and transforming it into something spiritually pure, something enlightened. And this is where it all comes back around, that grand, epic quest for spiritual perfection. It wasn't just about secret rituals in a dark room. It all came down to a really simple but powerful ethical code. The real philosopher's stone, the thing that created that inner gold, was built on a foundation of right thought, right feeling, and right living. So let's just do a quick recap of what we've walked through. We've seen that occultism, at least in this view, wasn't just superstition. It was a whole system of thought, a system built on the idea that the universe has these hidden laws, these correspondences, and all the tools, like divination, were just ways to understand those laws. And the final goal, the whole point of it all, personal, spiritual evolution. So that leaves us with one last thing to think about. You know, in our age of science and data, where we can explain almost everything, why does this desire to find hidden meanings still stick around? Why are we still so drawn to the idea that there are secret patterns and a deeper meaning to the world around us? It seems like that search, that quest, is just part of being human.